Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Supatantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Udapatagamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvedam Savadudam Parjana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vidam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Govika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhudale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dhirayet Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayadegirim Yatkrapatamaham Mande Shri Gurum Dinadarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Yonda Pravishya Mama Vachamimam Prasuktam Sanjeeva Yadi Akhila Shakti Darasudamnam Anyam Cha Hasta Charana Shranatvagadin Pranam Namo Bhagavate Vrushaya Tubhyam Jayadam Surado Pangur Mama Mandamadirgari Matsarvasya Padambujo Radha Madana Mohano Tamadi Devam Karuna Nidhanam Tamala Varnam Suyitavataram Apara Samsara Samudra Sedum Vajamahe Bhagavata Surupam Paramananda Pathaya Prema Varshi Aksharaya De Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna Hari Om Tat Sat. So welcome all the devotees. For today's Srimad Bhagavatam class, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, verse number 3. Naimishe animishe kshetre rishaya saunakadaya satram surgaya lokaya sahasra samamashata. Naimishe animishe kshetre rishaya saunakadaya satram surgaya lokaya sahasra samamasada. Okay, we have explained this, 2-3 paras of this particular verse last time. Anyway, we'll just read it. Once in a holy place in the forest of Naimisharanya, great sages headed by the sage Shaunaka assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord and his devotees. So, now this is the conversation between Siddha Goswami and Shaunakadi rishis happening in Naimisharanya. First, the original Bhagavatam was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. In that assembly, Siddha Goswami was present. He heard it from Sukadeva Goswami, his spiritual master, and later he retold the same Srimad Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi. Okay, so Naimisharanya is a very holy place, sacred place, very auspicious place. Was all sacrifices, homas, yajnas, everything was happening there, and they are conducting a 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and for the benefit of people in the age of Kali. Okay. They know that Kali Yuga is going to be very worst. So for the benefit of people in the age of Kali, they are doing a 1,000 sacrifice. So you see, they are very concerned about the people in the age of Kali. So they are helping all of us because they are doing the sacrifice so that we can have a good life in the age of Kali. Because age of Kali is full of hypocrisy and quarrel. They know it. So for our benefit, they are doing the sacrifice. So in that Sabha, in that assembly, Siddha Goswami is, retelling the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was first narrated by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj on the bank of the Ganges. So the prelude of the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken in the previous 3 slokas. This is the 4th sloka. Now the main topic of this great literature is presented. Okay. So the first 3 slokas, as already explained, it's just like invocation slokas. Now the actual Bhagavatam starts. Okay. So the main topic is being presented now in this sloka from here onwards. After first recitation by Srila Sukadeva Goswami was repeated for the 2nd time in Naimisharanya. So first, as I told you, it was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj on the bank of the Ganges. And the same Bhagavatam is retold by Sutta Goswami in Naimisharanya to the sages headed by Shaunaka Rishi. So in the Vayaviya Tantra, it is said that Brahma, the engineer of this particular universe, contemplated a great wheel which could enclose the universe. So now, Prabhupada is telling in the purport the importance or significance of the place called Naimisharanya. Okay. So Brahma contemplated a big wheel that covers the whole universe. So then he found out the hub of the universe, the axis of the earth. It was Naimisharanya. So it's a very holy, sacred place. So they chose this place for this yajna. So this hub was fixed at a particular place known as Naimisharanya. Similarly, there's another reference to the forest of Naimisharanya in the Varaha Purana, where it is stated that by preference of sacrifice at this place, by performance of sacrifice at this place, the strength of demonic people is curtailed. Because this place where so many sacrifices have been conducted. So the influence or the strength of the demonic people is curtailed. Thus, Brahmanas prefer Naimisharanya for such sacrificial performance. Wherever, sacrifices for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord Vishnu takes place, that place becomes auspicious. Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, we all know that. Kurukshetra is also known as Dharma Kshetra. Why? Because, that land, has been used for conducting so many sacrifices for the satisfaction of Vishnu. So it has become Dharma Kshetra, auspicious place. So whenever, anything auspicious activities takes place in such holy land, it will be favorable for the devotees. So that's why it is said here, the strength of the demonic people is curtailed. The influence of the demonic people will not be there in such places because it's a holy sacred place where Lord Vishnu is pleased. So the devotees of Lord Vishnu offer all kinds of sacrifices for his pleasure. The devotees are always attached to the service of the Lord, whereas fallen souls are attached to the pleasure of material existence. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that anything performed in the material world for any reason other than for the Lord, for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu, causes further bondage for the performer. Okay. So any activities that we do in the material world for our sense gratification, it binds us in this material world. Okay, that will be a cause of bondage for us in this material world. If it is not done for the satisfaction of Vishnu. It is enjoined, therefore, that all acts must be performed strictly for the satisfaction of Vishnu and his devotees. This will bring everyone peace and prosperity. So if you do the activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, it will bring peace and prosperity for all of us. the whole mankind. But instead, if we are doing the activities for our sense gratification, sense pleasure, that will bind us again and again in this material world in different species. We have to transmigrate from one form to another till such time that we are completely surrendering to the supreme will of Lord. So the great sages are always anxious to do good to the people in general, and as such, the sages headed by Shaunaka and others assembled at this holy place of Naimisharanya with a program of performing a great and continuous chain of sacrificial ceremonies. Forgetful men do not know the right path for peace and prosperity. However, the sages know it well, and therefore, for the good of all men, they are always anxious to perform acts which may bring about peace in the world. So just like how the sages in the Naimisharanya are helping the future generation, similarly, we should also help the future generation, because we should not be selfish. Okay. Now, suppose if you plant a tree, so many people are into, philanthropic activities. Okay. If we plant a tree, we may not get the fruits in our lifetime. But then why do we plant? We are concerned about the future generation. We are helping them, isn't it? A tree, it may take some few years for growing and giving us fruit. We may not get the fruit by ourselves, but we are helping the future generation. Our planting trees, our preserving ocean, rivers, hills, and all these natural, resources, it will help the future generation. If we exploit the nature, the future generation will have to suffer, isn't it? So similarly, here in Naimisharanya, all the sages are very concerned about the future generation. That's why they are doing this very auspicious activity of sacrifice, pleasing Lord Vishnu, so that the future generation in the age of Kali Yuga will not suffer so much. They are sincere friends to all living entities, and at the risk of great personal inconvenience, they are always engaged in the service of Lord for the good of all people. Lord Vishnu is just like a great tree, and all others, including the demigods, men, siddhas, charanas, vidyadharas, and other living entities are like branches, twigs and leaves of that tree. By pouring water on the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree are automatically nourished. So the tree, the great tree, it's Lord Vishnu. And all other demigods and men, siddhas, charanas, vidyadharas, all other living entities are compared to the branches, twigs, leaves, flowers, and fruits like that of the tree. So when we pour water at the root of the tree, the whole tree gets nourishment. Isn't it? And similarly, when we supply food to our stomach, the whole body gets nourishment. Similarly, when we pray or worship Lord Vishnu, all demigods and all other living beings are also nourished. So this is the Siddhanta. So only those branches and leaves which are detached cannot be so satisfied. So if you are not connected to Lord Vishnu, we will not be nourished. Okay. So if you are attached to Lord Vishnu, attached to the instructions that is given in the scriptures by Lord Vishnu and his representatives, then we will get nourishment. And if you don't bother, if you don't follow the instructions, if you don't follow Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and live a whimsical life for our own sense gratification, we are just like the detached branches of that tree. So detached branches and leaves dry up gradually despite all watering attempts. So even if you try to water the branches and leaves, it is not going to benefit. The water should be poured at the root of the tree, not on branches or leaves and fruits. Isn't it? So even if we try to keep ourselves nourished, it's not going to work out because we are a detached branch. Similarly, human society, when it is detached from the personality of Godhead, like detached branches and leaves, is not capable of being watered And one attempted to do so is simply wasting energy and resources. So we will not be connected to Lord Vishnu. That means we will not get delivered from this material existence. We will have to undergo, or we'll have to transmigrate from one form to another and undergo the vicious cycle of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. If we are detached from the main tree called Vishnu. The modern materialistic society is detached from its relation to the Supreme Lord. Okay, the modern people of this era, of this age, they are not at all interested in spirituality. So they're all detached from the main tree called Vishnu. For them, there'll be no peace and prosperity, nor in this life and nor in the next life, because they are detached branches of that Vishnu tree. Now, all its plans, which are being made by atheistic leaders, are sure to be baffled at every step. Yet they do not wake up to this. Even though in the present time, we are very advanced in modern amenities, facilities, technologically and all, scientifically, okay, materially, we are very advanced. But it is not going to solve our problem. You know, the problems are increasing day by day. The more we are advancing technologically or materially, the more we are put into inconvenience and hardships and problems, isn't it? Just go 100 years back, people were very happy, contented, isn't it? No much technological advance, no many machineries, everything was manual. People were living, joint family. They were all having respect to each other. The villagers, the friends, all were, together living very nicely, amicably, without any quarreling and all. They help each other. They were very happy. But now we have become a nuclear family. We don't know who is staying next door. Isn't it? Next door, who is, even maybe you may be staying there in your apartment for 20, 25 years, but you don't know who is the person living next door. So this is our condition. This is our condition, except Mayuri Madaji in a building. Okay, she is very friendly to all the, occupants of Dushitani. So generally, it's not the case. We are all aloof from our neighbors, from our society. Very, very selfish mentality. But in the olden days, it's not like that. It's like a family. All the neighbors, they come together. They, even if it is different festival, different religion festival, they come together, they celebrate, give and take. It was going on. Now it's not there. So that's it. So modern material society is detached from its relation to the Supreme Lord. Now all its plans, which are being made by atheistic leaders, should to be baffled at every step. Yet they do not wake up to this. So in this age, the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord is the prescribed method for waking up. So how we can come out of this? By taking up the chanting process. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The ways and means are most scientifically presented by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and intelligent persons may take advantage of his teachings in order to bring about real peace and prosperity. Srimad Bhagavatam is also presented for the same purpose, and this will be explained more specifically later in the text. So the chanting process and Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, by reading and studying and contemplating on those instructions, slowly and gradually, the purificatory process starts. Okay. Then, once the purification starts, we'll start living like a human being. Now we are human being, but not acting like human being. We are just like two-legged animals. Although we have two legs, our consciousness, our behavior, our character, our living styles are all like animals. There is no difference. ahara nidra bhaya maitunam cha. They're also eating, sleeping, waiting, and defending. They're also doing the same thing, but in a sophisticated manner. That's all. There is no much difference. So if you really want to, be human beings, then we have to follow the instructions, regulations, and we have to practice the sadhana that's given in our scriptures. Otherwise, only for namesake, we'll be human beings, but we'll be living like animals. That's why Dvipada Pashu, two-legged animals. So any questions or any comments so far?
What is Charanas and Vidyadharas?
What is that? That's all different types of human beings. There are 400,000 species human beings. So Charanas, Vidyadharas, and Siddhas, they are all in the upper planetary system, not on Earth. Siddha Purushas, Charanas, Vidyadharas are very, very melodious singers. They're all equal to higher beings, not like us. We are also part of the 400,000 human beings, those who are on the earthly planet. But this 400,000 includes Vidyadharas, Charanas, Siddhas, and all. Those who are in the heavenly planets. Okay. So there are different classes of human beings whom we cannot see. Because the higher you go, the subtler they become. Our form is the grossest, gross. The higher you go, the denizens of those or inhabitants of those planets become subtler and subtler. Okay, because you and I can see each other. Okay, and the demigods can see us, but we cannot see them. Their form, their body is subtler than ours. Subtle things we cannot see. Can you see mind? Can you see mind? Can you see intelligence?
No.
But it is there, right? Intelligence is there. Mind is there. But can we see? No, it's subtle. Similarly, their bodies are also made up of subtle elements. Air. Subtle. You cannot see. You can feel. You cannot see air. You can feel. Lord Brahma is made up of intelligence. His body is made up of intelligence. Buddhi. So can we see him? But they are higher beings. They can see us. So whenever they come, now for example, Badrinath. Okay, 6 months, the human being goes and worship there. 6 months, the demigod comes and worship there. Can we see them? No. See, after the temple is closed for worship, they light a lamp there in Badrinath. And that light is still, on after 6 months when they go back. How it is happening? Who is doing the worship there? Demigods come and worship. 6 months. When they leave the temple, when they close the temple, because during the rainy season and very, very cold, it will be covered fully with ice. 6 months. So only 6 months we are allowed to go there. So they light a lamp, and that lamp will be burning when they go after 6 months. Nobody knows how it is. Who is there to keep it on, to put oil when it is finishing? So they're all higher beings. Charanas, Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Gandharvas. Yeah, so there are many instances, and only recently also in Sri Rangam and all, Vibhishna comes, Jagannath Puri, at night a demigod comes and worship Jagannath. In Sri Rangam, Vibhishna comes, and to some fortunate souls could see them also, only by their blessings. Otherwise, they cannot see. They can hear the sound, but by their blessing, they will be able to see them also. There are many devotees who have seen them.
Prabhuji, Narsimha temple also, now we went.
Where?
And Panakam.
Yes. Panakam Narasimha, yes. So like that. They are higher beings and they have more mystic power and they are not like us. But one thing is good for us. It is easy for us to get out of this middle existence. Human beings on the earthly planet are the luckiest because our lifespan is very small compared to those in the heavenly planets. Okay, so if you really try, if you are sincere and serious in getting out of the material existence, it is easy for us within the short span of period, we can get out of the material existence. From that perspective, and simple process, we are lucky.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhuji. So any other points? Any other points or questions? Okay. If not, we'll go to the next verse, text 5. Ta ekada tu munaya pratarputa hudagnaya satkritam sudamasinam paprachuridamadarad. Yes, Shilpa Mataji, can you please recite this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Ta ekada tu munaya pratahurta hutagnayah satrutam sutamasinam paprachuri damadarat.
Very bold. One day, ekada, once upon a time. We say no, ekada, once upon a time, one day. After finishing their morning duties by burning a sacrificial fire and offering a seat of esteem to Srila Siddha Goswami, the great sages made inquiries with great respect about the following matters. Now, it's mentioned here, it's told here, one day after finishing their morning duties by burning a sacrificial fire and offering a seat of esteem to Srila Siddha Goswami. So, after doing the necessary morning duties of sacrifice, a very nice elevated seat was offered to Srila Siddha Goswami by the great sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka. And what they did after that, after he was seated, then they made inquiries with great respect about the following matters. Morning is the best time to hold spiritual activities. Even by astrological calculation, the morning time is very auspicious because it is in the mode of goodness. So all the spiritual activities we are supposed to do in the morning is very auspicious time. The great sages offered the speaker of the Bhagavatam an elevated seat of respect called Vyasasana, or the seat of Sri Vyasadeva. So that seat is called Vyasa Asana. The seat of Vyasadeva is our master who gave us this Vedic knowledge. So that seat from where Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken is called Vyasasana. So anybody who speaks Srimad Bhagavatam, we should respect Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should not just casually speak. We should sit on an asana, and that's called Vyasasana. We should be elevated. It is, we are giving respect to Srimad Bhagavatam. Don't think that that person is very high. No, of course, the persons may also be high, senior devotees, acharyas, we have to respect them. But more than that, Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken. So we should respect, we should give a proper seat to the person who speaks Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Vyasadeva is the original spiritual preceptor of all men. So Srila Vyasadeva, especially this Vyasadeva, is the incarnation, literary incarnation of Krishna or Vishnu. Because there are different incarnations which I have explained, I think, earlier. Okay, there are Purushavataras, Leela Avataras, Yuga Avataras, Manvantara Avataras, and Purushavasaras, Shakti Avesha Avataras. 6 types of Avataras. Usually, Vyasadeva, is a Shakti Avesha Avatara. But this particular time, in the Golden Age, that is Dwapara Yuga, Srila Vyasadeva came. His name is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. He is Lord himself incarnated. It's not Shakti Avesha Avatara. He is the Swa-amsha of Lord Vishnu only. So usually, there are many empowered incarnations, Shakti Avesha Avataras. Okay. So this particular Vyasadeva is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasadeva, is incarnation of Supreme Lord himself. So he is the actual spiritual preceptor, the teacher for all of us. So he should be respected. So, and all other preceptors are considered to be representatives. So those who are speaking in line with what Vyasadeva has taught us is also considered his representative. A representative is one who can exactly present the viewpoint of Sri Vyasadeva. So we should not deviate from the principles that's spoken by Srila Vyasadeva. We are representing Vyasadeva. So we cannot add or subtract. We cannot dilute anything that is taught by Vyasadeva. Sri Vyasadeva impregnated the message of Bhagavatam unto Srila Sukadeva Goswami. And Sri Sudha Goswami heard it from him, Sri Sukadeva Goswami. So Vyasadeva imparted this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam to his son, Sukadeva Goswami. And when he was speaking this Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, in that assembly, Sudha Goswami was present. So Sudha Goswami considers Sukadeva Goswami his spiritual master. So those days, it was just everything by oral reception. And they were so intelligent, whatever they spoke, they could retain that. And they can reproduce whatever they heard exactly without any dilution, without any manipulation. So this was the intelligence people had in those ages. So all bona fide representatives of Sri Vyasadeva in the chain of disciplic succession are to be understood to be Goswamis. So all those coming in that chain of disciplic succession are understood to be Goswamis. Goswamis means one who can control the senses. Go means senses, Swami means controller. One who can control the senses is called Goswami. And are we controlling the senses? If we are controlling our senses, if our senses are under our control, we can also become Goswami. But unfortunately, most of the time we fall prey to our senses demands. So we are called Godasa, the servant of our senses. Anger, lust, greed, pride, illusion, envy. These are all different anarthas, isn't it? We succumb to these anarthas. We become controlled by these anarthas. we don't control these anarthas. So what happens? We become controlled by these anarthas. We become das or servant of these anarthas or senses. Okay. Anger, we cannot control. So we become the servant of the anger. No, there's a story also about Alexander the Great. We have discussed this earlier also. Alexander came to India. He wanted to meet a sage. He heard a lot about sage of India. They are very powerful. So he wanted to meet a sage. Went to the forest, deep into the forest. He sent his ministers to call a sage. He wanted to meet him. And when the ministers went to call the sages, he was meditating. Then after his meditation was over, said, Alexander the Great has come. He would like to see you. So please come with me. Then the sage said, I'm not interested. Tell your Alexander, no, I'm not interested to see anyone. So Alexander got really annoyed, wild at the sage. Oh, who do he think that he is? I am Alexander the Great, the conqueror of all the world, and he is not listening to my instruction, my order. I will show him now. So he angrily went there, and he said, I called you, you did not come. You know who am I? I can really take your head off right now if you don't listen to me. Then he said, you are the servant of my servant. Who said? The sage told Alexander the Great, you are the servant of my servant. And he really got a shock. He was taken aback. How is that? Then he wanted to know more. What do you mean by that? I have controlled my anger, and anger is my servant, and you have not controlled your anger, and you are the servant of that anger. So, in brief, you are the servant of my servant. So he got the message. Oh, Alexander got the message. Like that. So we're all go dasa, not Goswami. So all the sages, the rishis, the munis, all their senses are under their control. And they can dictate the senses what to do, what not to do. Rather, instead, we becomes controlled by our senses. Suppose somebody is having diabetics, in a small, he is not supposed to eat sweets. Okay. And when rasgulla is given, he will, in front of all of us, he may say or she may say, no, I don't want, I am diabetics. Okay. But when everybody goes, then he will think, oh, one rasgulla is okay. What is going to happen? He'll take one rasgulla and eat, because nobody is there to see and nobody is to, watch him like that. So we cannot control small things. So that is our position. So that's why we have to use our intelligence and discriminate what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is favorable, what is unfavorable for our devotional service. And for that, we need to purify our existence. So unless and until we purify our existence by taking up the process of chanting and worship of Lord Vishnu, it is not possible for us to control our senses. So one should try to become Goswami. So in Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami very clearly says that Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jivva Vegam, Udaro Pashta Vegam, Etan Veganyo Vishaheda Dhirat, Sarvam Abhimam Pritimcha Shishyat. So who is a Goswami? Who can become a Goswami? Who can make disciples all over the world? A person who can control the 6 urges, the 3 subtle urges, the 3 gross urges of the body, can become Goswami. So which are the 6 urges? Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. Vacha means the speech. We want to always vibrate our tongue. We want to keep speaking something or the other, prajalpa, gossip, Okay, we don't want to keep silent. Something or other, isn't it? People goes from one place to another place. The two families went from, Kerala to Kashi. Okay, it's a three days journey by train from Kerala. From Trichur till Kashi, they were chit-chatting. And after their pilgrimage is over, on the way back also, they were chit-chatting the whole journey. After they got up in Trichur railway station, they stood there on the station and spoke for 2-3 hours. It's still not over. Okay. Then they said, rest we will speak on telephone. So this is our speech. Vacho Vegam, the urge to speak. Nothing useful. All prajalpa, all gossip only. Okay. So we have to control the urge of speech. Manasa, the desires of the demands of the mind, we should control. Now, our mind has so many plans, so many desires. The mind wants to fulfill all those. So we have to control, because it is not going to benefit us or help us in our spiritual advancement. So all those demands of the mind that doesn't help us to advance spiritually, we should curtail. Okay, so the demands of the mind the urge of the demands of the mind should be curtailed, checked. Vacho Vegam, Manasa, Krodha Vegam. The Krodha means, what is the Krodha? Anger. The urge of the anger. For anything and everything we get angry. But that angry can be used for the right cause, for the right thing, just like how Hanuman used his anger in the service of Lord Ram. Okay, he lit the whole Lanka with fire, lit up, isn't it? He burned the whole Lanka. That was not for his own sense gratification. It is in the service of Lord Ram he did that. He burned Lanka. That's okay. When some Vaishnavas or our Supreme Lord is blasphemed, we can get angry. Unnecessarily, we should not get angry. So we have to check the urges of the anger also. Vacho Vegam, Manasa, Krodha Vegam, Jihva. Then the tongue. Tongue has two activity. One is speech, other one is eating. Okay. So we should not eat anything, everything. There is a particular quota that is assigned for us. That is vegetable. Yeah? And that also we should be very strict what we should eat, what we should not eat. We should offer it to the Supreme Lord before we consume it. Otherwise, we are eating verily sin. Etne sishtasno shanto muchande sarva kilbishi munjade tedakam pavam e pachanti atma karanat. So if we don't eat food that is offered to Krishna, we are eating verily sin. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says. So we should eat only prasadam, not anything else. Patram pushpam balam doyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadam bhaktya upahridam asnami prayadatmanaha. So whatever is, whatever is accepted by Lord Krishna, it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Param doyam. We are supposed to offer that only. So, Jihva Vegam. So we should be, very, very controlled in eating also. Udaro Apasta Vegam. Okay. Udara means again our stomach. So what we supply to the Udara should be controlled. We are not supposed to put anything and everything in our stomach. And apasta, the genital. So this also should be used. The urge of the genital also should be checked. It should be regulated. So all the 6 items. Okay, the first 3 are subtle. The second 3 items are gross. Vacho Vegam, Manasa, Krodha, Jihva, Udara, Apastha. So all the six senses, if one control the urges of the six senses, then he is called a Goswami. So that's what it is mentioned here. Goswami. Sukadev Goswami, Sudha Goswami. So all bona fide representatives of Sri Vyasadeva in the chain of disciple succession are to be understood to be Goswamis. These Goswamis restrain their senses and they stick to the path made by the previous Acharyas. The Goswamis do not deliver lectures on the Bhagavatam capriciously. Rather, they execute their services most carefully, following their predecessors who delivered the spiritual messages unbroken to them. So, they don't add anything, they don't delete anything, they don't speculate anything, as it is given. That's why Prabhupada has given Bhagavad Gita as it is. Not that this is the version of Prabhupada. Okay, I think so, I feel so, I assume so. No, Prabhupada did not say that. Lord Krishna said like this, Vyasadeva said like this, Sridhara Swami said like this, Rupa Goswami said like this, Baldev Vidyabhushan said like this. It is not his thinking or his feeling. No, it is not his opinion. So that's why Prabhupada said it's as it is. He did not add anything, he did not speculate anything, he did not subtract anything. So it is as it is. So that's why unbroken chain of disciple succession. Just like, when, nowadays it's not there. A letter is sent by postman, by post office. You put a letter in the post box. The postman comes and take it and he dispatches to the recipient. Okay. Does the postman open the letter, add something or delete something in the letter and then gives it? No. As it is delivered, isn't it? He takes the letter, gives to the recipient as it is. He doesn't alter anything, he doesn't change anything. Similarly, whatever instructions are received from our predecessor acharyas, we have to exactly give it to our following generation. We should not add any of our imaginary things in that. So that's what it is said. Those who listen to the Bhagavatam may put questions to the speaker in order to elicit the clear meaning, but this should not be done in a challenging spirit. So in case we don't understand certain things, because many things are beyond comprehension, we cannot comprehend it very easily. So we should ask questions in a submissive manner, not in an argumentative manner, if we cannot understand, not in a challenging spirit. One must submit questions with a great regard for the speaker and the subject matter, because the speaker is the representative of the Supreme Lord and Vyasadeva also. So we should ask in a submissive manner, not in a challenging spirit. So this is also the way recommended in Bhagavad Gita. One must learn the transcendental subject by submissive oral reception from the right sources. Therefore, these sages addressed the speaker Sudha Goswami with great respect. So the sages in Naimisharani also gave very great respect to Sudha Goswami because he is a representative of Vyasadeva. And as mentioned here, one must learn the transcendental subject matter by submissive oral reception from the right sources. So this is text number 5. So any questions or any comments?
Prabhuji, you have told six avatars.
Yeah.
So can you please tell me one more time that 6 avatars?
What is that? I didn't get you. What is that?
You have told Dr. 6 avatars. 6 types of avatars.
Avatars. Okay. Purusha Avatara, you can write down.
Yeah.
Purusha Avatara. Yuga Avatara. Okay. Leela Avatara. Manvantara Avatara.
Sorry, one more time.
Manvantara.
Manvantara.
Manvantara Avatara. Yuga Avatara.
Yuga avatara you have told. Purusha, Yuga.
Okay. Then Shakti Avesha Avatara and Leela Avatara. Leela Barni.
Shakti Avesha avatara. Okay.
Now, how many you wrote?
Prabhuji,
Purusha avatara.
can you repeat?
Purusha avatara, Yuga avatara, Leela avatara, Manasa avatara,
Manvantara.
Shakti, Manvantara,
Hmm.
and Shakti
Avesha Avatara.
Shakti Avesha avatara.
Purusha Avatara, did I say?
Purusha avatara you told.
Then which
Purusha
one?
avatara, Yuga avatara, Leela avatara, Manvantara, and Shakti Avesha avatara.
Yuga Avatara,
Yes, Prabhuji.
which is missing then?
Purusha, Yuga avatara, Leela, Manvantara, Shakti Avesha. 5 you have told.
Leela.
Leela, yes.
So which
No,
is
no. Next time.
okay? Then I will get it. Don't worry.
Already you have told 5. So what is
No.
what is
I'll tell you. Yuga Avatara, Purusha Avatara, Manvantara Avatara, Leela Avatara, Shakti Avesha Avatara, Manvantara Avatara. It's 6. Which one you didn't write?
Puja, I have written Purusha Avatara, Yuga Avatara, Leela Avatara, Manvantara Avatara, Shakti Avesha Avatara. 5.
Yeah, you wrote Purusha Avatara. You wrote
Purusha Avatara, Yuga Avatara, Leela Avatara, Manvantara Avatara, Shakti Avesha Avatara.
then Yuga Avatara.
Yuga Avatara is written Prabhuji.
Yes, done.
No, Prabhuji. One is missing.
Guna Avatara.
Guna Avatara. Yes. Right. Yeah, right. Thank you. Very nice. Guna Avataras. Yes, we missed that.
Yes. No problem.
Anyway, okay.
Repeating it good so you can remember.
Yeah, because
Yes.
we said same thing again and again.
Yeah. We are not in that age that like you can capture very quickly. So you need some time to,
Six types of avataras, yes. Guna avataras we need to. Okay, anything else?
One thing you have told. Rudra Avatara also you have told.
Which one?
Rudra Avatara?
Rudra, no.
No.
No, not Rudra Avatara. I must have said Yuga avataras,
Okay, no problem. So,
not Rudra. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Prabhuji, on this Purusha Avatar, like Krishna Avatar, we can say Purusha Avatar like Jiga Avatar.
Purusha Avatara is, Mahavishnu, Adai, Karana, Uttaka Sai Vishnu, Garbha Uttaka Sai Vishnu, and Shiro Sai Vishnu. These are Purusha Avataras. Guna Avataras, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Like that. Any other questions or? So anyway, so next week we'll start from text 6. Stop sharing. Hare Krishna.